Horror. It's my favourite genre. I don't know what it is about being scared, but I just can't help it. The different ways you can be scared are so interesting to me, from horror movies to video games. I just can't get enough, and internet horror has been my recent obsession. As you can see from my channel, I also love manga, but in my opinion, the horror genre is lacking in manga. Now I know there is Junji Ito, but I don't really feel unnerved, let alone scared reading his works. The only series that have unnerved me would be like Blood on the Tracks and A Suffocatingly Lonely Death, and this is due to the psychological horror involved. In today's video, I will be talking about the best horror manga I have read, and that is The Summer Hikaru Died. It nailed everything I could want in a horror series. The Summer Hikaru Died is written by Mokumo Ren and begun publishing in 2021 under the Young Ace Up magazine. This manga really hits the small town vibe you get from the It films and Stranger Things, where we follow young kids caught up in a dangerous situation. The Summer Hikaru Died will also be getting an anime adaptation, which will release on July 5th. Also, if you think there's a better horror manga out there, please comment it below, as I would love to read it. In today's video, I'll be talking about the first chapter and the basics of the story, then the horror in the series and what I think it does really well. Then I'll finish up by talking about the art. If you would like to avoid spoilers, then please click off the video now, but if you don't mind or have already read this series, then please enjoy the video. The story begins with our two main characters entering a convenience store to buy some ice cream. They eat them outside the store. They talk about a teacher at school that makes them run laps, and Hikaru says it's like torture. Yoshiki points out that his pronunciation of the word torture was off, and they brush it off as nothing and continue to enjoy their ice creams. Yoshiki then asks if Hikaru remembers anything from when he went missing on the mountain. Nope, diddly squat, Hikaru responds, and Yoshiki says he has to remember something by now. It's been half a year since he went missing. Hikaru asks him to give it a break and to stop asking him. Yoshiki says, "Not a word to explain yourself. Don't you know how much you worried everyone?" Hikaru smiles at Yoshiki and says, "Were you lonely because I wasn't around?" "Nah, not really," Yoshiki responds. Hikaru calls him a liar and begins to mock him. Yoshiki then asks Hikaru if he can ask him something a little bit strange. "What, you want to profess your undying love?" Hikaru responds. Yoshiki has a blank expression on his face and responds that this has been going on for a while actually. Something has been on his mind ever since Hikaru went missing. He then says, "You really are different from Hikaru." Hikaru looks at him stunned, and after a while just responds with, "What the heck?" His face then falls away, revealing an unexplainable mass. "My imitation was supposed to be perfect," the thing responds. The mass continues to spread and reach towards Yoshiki, who is stunned by what he is seeing. The thing imitating Hikaru hugs him and begs him not to tell anyone. "For the first time, I was living as a human. For the first time, I got to enjoy school, friends, and even ice cream. Who I am as a person and my body are both borrowed, but I really love you," the thing tells Yoshiki. "Please, I don't want to kill you," it says as it hugs Yoshiki tighter. Yoshiki acknowledges that Hikaru is gone, but even if it's a fake, he still wants to be with him. "Okay Hikaru, good to see you," Yoshiki says. We get a flashback to Yoshiki talking to the real Hikaru. They talk about what they want to do after school, and Hikaru says that Yoshiki should leave and go study at a university in Tokyo. We get another flashback to Yoshiki talking with Hikaru after school. He mentions he doesn't have any plans for the weekend. Hikaru says he can't hang out as he's going to the mountain that weekend. When Yoshiki asks what for, he just tells him it's a secret. Yoshiki wakes up and mentions that it was a dream from when he was alive. Yoshiki then crumples over, remembering that day, and he begins to cry, before he's called down for breakfast. His mum tells him he has kept Hikaru waiting, and he heads outside to greet him. They share an awkward moment before heading to school. They leave and head to school, and we hear a bit of Yoshiki's internal monologue. "No matter what you are, having you gone from my side would be much blank," and we don't hear the end, but I'm sure it would be much worse. That concludes the first chapter, and I thought it was phenomenal. It throws you right into the deep end by showing that Hikaru isn't actually Hikaru, and then right away, like Yoshiki, we are asking ourselves the same questions. Can we really trust him? How dangerous is he? What is he? It's a great way to set up your scary character. The art is also amazing, so I was eager to keep reading. In the next part, I will be talking about the horror in the series and what it does well. Then I will finish off by talking about the art. If you don't want any more spoilers, then you should click off now, but if you don't mind, then let's continue. The uncanny valley. It's a term that describes the eerie sensation you get when you see something that is human-like or is trying to mimic a human behaviour, and this is something you definitely feel throughout the summer Hikaru died. Although the new Hikaru looks exactly like him, he has moments that are extremely off and unnerve me. Like early in the series, when he smiles, I can't help but feel it's forced, and Yoshiki feels the same way. Unlike the other characters, we know that it isn't Hikaru, but the others just think it's him. Now throughout the series, we see Hikaru snap sometimes. Different things can cause this, but he completely neglects his new body and begins to change into this strange mass of shapes we saw in chapter 1. The only difference is, it's much creepier now. These are outbursts that happen in private, only happening between Hikaru and Yoshiki, and these scenes alone are scary, but Hikaru always regains control and doesn't kill Yoshiki due to their closeness. But in chapter 14 and 15, we see everyone at a gathering to celebrate. They play outside with sparklers and run out. Hikaru says he's going to get more, and Asako, one of their friends, joins him. As they walk, she points and asks if that's the mountain he went missing on. He says yes, but mentions that he doesn't really remember. She mentions that everything has gone back to normal, and it's good that he's back, but she looks down and clearly has something on her mind. "Just who exactly are you?" she asks, clearly noticing he isn't the same. We see in this amazing panel the internal panic Hikaru is experiencing. The panel lines themselves begin to distort with Hikaru's panic, and he walks towards Asako. He grabs her and stares into her eyes, and his pupils begin to distort. We see the strange mass appear out of his eye, but thankfully Yoshiki appeared before he went too far. Asako passes out and Yoshiki confronts Hikaru. He hints at killing her, but realizes that the others would be sad if she died. We learn a lot this chapter, especially about how Hikaru views life and death, and it's a lot different to ours, but that isn't what I want to highlight. This chapter was the scariest up until this point, as for the first time I thought he was actually going to kill someone we know. And unlike his emotional outbursts like we have been seeing, this was a calculated attempt on her life. Sure, it was motivated by panic and self-preservation, but the way he casually strolls up to her and began to distort his eye was terrifying. If Yoshiki didn't intervene, Asako would have died. It's these moments of uncertainty that make Hikaru terrifying. Sure, for majority of the story, he's reliable and predictable, but as soon as the calmness sets in and you think you have his character figured out, this terrifying reality presents itself, reminding us that he isn't Hikaru, the high school student. It's a monster with the power to kill people and who knows what else. Now, another aspect of the horror is the impurities that appear in the village. We learn from an old woman who lives in the village and can see things that whatever Hikaru is was keeping the impurities, which are basically all the negative actions and spirits in the town, in check, and it all pours down the mountain once he's found. So since Hikaru's return, strange things have been happening in the town, like ghosts appearing and a mentally insane man trying to enter their school. This all catches up with them in some later chapters, but I'm not going to spoil you on that. The entities themselves are so creepy, with some having a long neck. One tries to lure a young boy into a cupboard, and another appears at a train stop, and it's kinda cool seeing the consequences of the thing possessing Hikaru leaving the mountain. They are absolutely unnerving, and I'm excited to see what the author does with this concept in the later chapters. Picture this: a loved one has gone missing, and behind your parents' back, you leave into the night. You search and search deep into the mountain, desperately trying to find them, and you do. But you're too late. You notice them bleeding from the head. They are cold and stiff with the winter weather slowing their decay. You have to tell someone, and upon returning, you can't. The weather makes you bedridden, and you try to deny your loved one's death. The truth is just too much to bear. But upon waking up, you find out that your loved one is alive. This scene was amazing because prior to this chapter, we had no knowledge that Yoshiki actually found Hikaru after he died. So for 6 months, he lived with the knowledge that his friend died. In that period of time, we can imagine all the ways he lied to himself, believing his friend just made a miraculous recovery, and we all would have done the same if we were in his shoes. Over those 6 months, he had to come to terms with the fact that his friend was dead all over again, but instead of being able to properly mourn, he has to live with the reality that something is mimicking his friend, and that's where this story originally starts from, with the day Yoshiki confronts this thing, and to me that just makes this series all the more terrifying, as like Yoshiki, how could you ever discard something that so closely resembled a loved one? The art in this series is phenomenal, and I honestly couldn't picture it with any other style. It fits the tone and setting so well. I especially love the nature shots that show us just how rural the village is, and I mean just look at them, they are so beautiful. The character design is great as well. I feel that each character's design perfectly matches their personalities and fit well with the small rural town vibe, especially the clothing. The art used for the horror is great, which I'm sure you've noticed throughout this video. I especially love the design of whatever Hikaru is. It really feels like something you would see in a cosmic horror story. You can't really understand what it is, and it is confusing to look at, which is what I think the author was going for. The few action scenes we see are also really well done, and the level of detail used in the double spreads is amazing. The colour pages we get throughout the series are beautiful and add just a little bit of charm or focus heavily on something that happened in the previous chapter, and are always great to see throughout your read. The Summer Hikaru Died is without question the best horror manga I've ever read. The story as a whole is so well made that I couldn't help but binge through the whole story. The characters are so compelling that it makes you feel so much more invested in what's happening, not to mention the top-notch horror imagery used throughout the story. I will definitely be checking out the anime, as from what I've seen in the trailers, it looks like a really well done adaptation. Well, that's it from me. I hope in this video I've convinced some of you to try this manga. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!